I was looking to introduce various youth in my area to, in my church, to Christian apologetics, but I'm not really sure, like, what subjects would be central, like something to just start with, and then kind of take it from there, or kind of to phrase it another way, if you had a chance with like youth that didn't really know what apologetics were but were Christians, what subjects would you focus on?
Well, what you want to do in a situation like that is probably utilize whatever is the biggest challenge in your area as a stepping stone to do the first thing you have to do. Apologetics is determined by your theology, and unfortunately, a lot of our young people do not have a sound theology. And so if you live in Utah, then you use the fact that all of your kids' friends are Mormon to give you the excuse to go deep into the doctrine of God as the first step to being able to then contrast that with the LDS perspective. You don't just start with the LDS perspective. If you know that your kids are already well grounded, which is unfortunately a sad rarity, but if they are, then obviously you can delve into important issues of worldview subjects. Are these kids expecting to be going to a major state university? Issues like that. Then you can be dealing with the worldview issues that they're going to be encountering in that type of a context. If you're a block down from the Jehovah's Witness headquarters in New York, then you know what you need to be focusing upon there. But the real thing that any teacher needs to do is to honestly evaluate where their kids are and spend 80% of your time grounding them in truth and 20% of your time talking about what the error might be. In fact, use the error as the springboard, use the error as the light to get that opportunity to ground them. Because that's, in my opinion, that's what the vast majority of apologetics is. The reason that people struggle there is because we don't know our faith. We don't know this. We don't know the truth, and hence end up being forced into a defense of untruth over and over and over again, because we don't recognize the errors in the type of argumentation that is being presented to us. So wherever you are. You said Michigan, so you've got a lot of atheism and secularism up there and stuff like that. You use those challenges and the questions are being thrown at them as as a way of getting to the foundations and grounding them in that. Spend much more time in the truth than you do in the error. Unless this just happens to be a weird church where they've been exposed to this their entire lives, and hence already have a deep foundation, then you can spend more time on the error. But that's not where a lot of churches are. Okay?
Yes, thank you for that. I have to apologize to Rich, but is it possible I can ask a quick second question?
As long as it's okay to give a really quick response, because we got 3 other people we still need to get to, and I need to get out of here at the top of the hour. So make it quick.
Oh yeah. I met recently with 2 Mormon elders, just trying to figure out where they are, because it's really hard seeing where different faiths are at these days, just by reading their literature, just because people aren't people of the book anymore. But a lot of what came through during the conversation, when it went to the history of things and how like countless pieces of Mormon history has been disproven, they always appealed to faith as, pray about it, and kind of just disregard the evidence if the Spirit says it's true. Is there a bridge? Is there like any way to bridge that between faith and like facts and truth?
Well, that's a really big question, and not going to be able to give a brief answer to it. The fact is the vast majority of Mormons today don't know a lot about their history, and we are living in a period of time where the historical teachings of the LDS Church are being downplayed. There's always been an element of that within Mormonism because of the fact you have Latter-day Revelation, but at least in decades past, there was some concept of a necessity of some type of consistency between what was taught in one generation, was taught in the next generation. That's breaking down all over the place. I think the best that you can do is recognize that a lot of Mormons today will take a very subjective approach to the study of their religion, and say, well, basically, there's a conflict between claiming to be the one true church on earth, and then turning around and saying, but there's truth everywhere. So if you're the one true church on earth, then what's been taught by that one church through the priesthood authority is going to be consistent over time, and it's not. Therefore, you might want to reconsider the idea that it's one true church. The problem is you're dealing with people who already have an extremely incapacitated epistemology. There's already a level of subjectivism within Mormon epistemology that is devastating to any type of logic or reason, and certainly devastating to any type of gospel presentation, which says this is the gospel and what you've been given isn't. And so that's always a challenge to deal with the subjectivism. And you can only do what we've always done, and that is you go to the Word of God, and the Word of God says don't trust in your own feelings. The Word of God exalts those who test by the Scriptures. You need to have an objective reality, and then you can use an example. And this used to work a lot better, but I used to use Jehovah's Witnesses because Mormons run into Jehovah's Witnesses all the time. They were sort of their competitors. And so I'd say, here's this Jehovah's Witness. He has a really strong feeling that Jesus is Michael the Archangel. But you and I would agree that that's completely wrong. So does their strong feeling change the fact that what they're saying about Jesus is in error? I can just see a lot of Mormons today going, well, I don't know that I'd call it in error. That now you're simply dealing with how do you deal with anybody who has just completely abandoned all concepts of objective truth. Mormonism can't survive that and won't survive that. That's where it's struggling right now. So that's just a start. But Joseph, I gotta get to the calls. Thank you for your phone call today from Michigan.